YSL DK confirms why he was snitch on Young Thug again. Plea agreements are being made everywhere, and the so-called gang members are leaving as free people. One of them won the topic of our discussion last week, but we saw a few of them leave jail just last week. The individual in question is a man by the name of Walter Murphy, better known as DK in the street. See, DK had quite the past with the police, and the fact that he left the scene after entering a plea tells a lot. Most importantly, it indicates that he most likely again leaked information about his fellow YSL members. Why do we say that? Well, because it's been made known that he's allegedly worked with the boys in blue before to get himself out, so this wouldn't be the first time. But before we get to that part, let's start with the obvious. Even though the infamous YSL RICO case has progressed slowly since it started, with only a few significant developments occurring occasionally, things now appear to be different. The pace is frantic today, in contrast to May. Within the next few weeks, nearly every YSL member's future could be decided. Everyone is aware that this RICO case essentially revolves around one person, regardless of what the press reports or who is narrating the story. Thugger, since he was identified by the prosecutors in his case as the alleged leader of the YSL group, which appears to be much more than just a record label. There has been a lot of controversy surrounding his name. You see, YSL has been referred to as a criminal gang. Since there was only accusation from the prosecution side at the time, they've been hit with racketeering charges. However, there is a lot of evidence now to suggest that this may be the case, and typically people start jumping ship once the ship begins to sink in an effort to save their own lives. That seems to be already occurring, as we can see. According to him and his attorney, Gunna and DK took plea deals just last week and were able to escape jail without facing the RICO charges. Despite the courtroom video making rounds online proving he did indeed snitch, this was his official press release. While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it absolutely clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be any witness for anything in any party in any case, and have absolutely no intention. This statement is incorrect because he will actually have to appear in court if called up, because it is a requirement of his plea agreement, and he also cannot invoke the Fifth Amendment right to protect himself. In other words, he seriously messed up Thug's case. His attorney will need to come up with a strategy to handle both this circumstance and the mountain of evidence that is mounting against him. But things only get worse. Gunna is not the only person speaking with the police and working out a way out for himself. As we previously mentioned, DK, the co-founder of YSL, who founded the gang with Thugger and another person back in 2012, is one of the guys who followed suit. When his attorneys worked out a plea deal for Walter Murphy, aka DK, on Tuesday, December 13th, he left. DK entered a plea of guilty on the RICO charges, receiving 1 year reduction in his original 10-year sentence and the remaining 9 years. If he complies with all the terms of the deal within the first 5 years, he will be placed on supervised probation. After that, he will be released from supervision and the remainder of his sentence will be vacated. However, if DK is detained for a crime other than an aggravated misdemeanor, the deals are off. Murphy asserted that the YSL is not a gang in an interview with Atlantis with SBTV Channel 2. I prefer to compare it to a family or a record label. On that label, I had once served as the road manager. DK made a similar pledge to Gunna, promising to appear in court if he were to be called as a witness. He also made a commitment not to commit crimes or have access to firearms while serving his sentence as part of his plea agreement. However, DK has dealt with prisons before. Additionally, it's not the first time he's been leaving. Before serving his sentence, he made 2 serious mistakes that led to charges of armed robbery, but he was able to get away with it because the victim was present. A man named Derek Datson, who was dating his cousin, committed suicide, but not before seeking retribution. He is accused of shooting DK and pistol whipping his baby mom. DK and his girl both went to police and spoke with them. So that's how we learned that little bit of information. He failed to find a way to get away with what he did though, the second time. He fired a rifle at 4 people while free on bail for the first charge, seriously wounding 1 of the 4. The victim had a head wound from a bullet. Fortunately, the man lived. DK was expected to serve a total of more than 20 years in prison for both of these crimes. Nevertheless, he left after 8 years, and as they were already aware, his name is also listed in the RICO indictment. Racketeering accusations, like they did for many others, were brought against him alongside Gunna and Thug. But after serving 7 months in jail, he entered a plea and left. He acknowledged, much like Gunna before he spoke to the police once more, that YSL is in fact a street gang, Additionally, he claimed that YSL was founded in 2012 by Young Thug and a member whose identity has been concealed. Since there is no video from a courtroom, we can only assume that DK admitted to something similar to what Gunna did, but we can't be certain. Which would be that he admitted to YSL is most likely a gang, and that DK likely claimed to have seen members committing crimes. In addition to Gunna and DK, 3 other members of YSL have now accepted plea agreements. All of them either provided information that prosecutors wanted to stick with Young Thug, or corroborated some of it. Slime Life is the next in line to accept this plea deal. Shotty is an Atlanta-based YSL rapper. He reportedly accepted a plea deal as well, but the details of the deal are unclear because the media is unaware of him. He ultimately chose to reply to everyone with an Instagram story to let them know that yes, he was home. He said, to get here, you don't need to snitch. Since it's not illegal for any group to be a gang, I had to admit that Young Slime belonged to one. Check it out, no one is harmed and anyone can join the gang. Moreover, the founder already acknowledged it. What I was gonna say was stupid. If a founder admitted it, some people think he has a plausible explanation while others think he is making things up. Speaking of deals, one of them is Martinez Aro, aka Lil Duke, another rapper from the ATL, and the other is Thugs. The final person we encountered was brother Quinta Greer Anfo, accept the plea deal bargain to get out of jail. In addition to 750 hours of community service, he will be placed on 10 years of probation. Another implication of the agreement is that until the conclusion of the trial, FU cannot speak to his brother. In conclusion, people are shocked to see so many plea agreements being reached just before Thug's trial. Don't think the state doesn't have a good case because of this. There isn't a strong defense put forth by the state. Because of this, they provide adequate probation for RICO charges. Because of the high profile, he cannot claim that everyone smells fishy. Significant figures in their own right include his brother and co-founder. The case the state made against him was solid. They would at least serve some jail time. They are being begged by the DEA not to prosecute that case. Some people are still baffled as to why someone would decide to start living a gangster lifestyle. Nobody so far has gotten away with it. One person claimed that the younger generation wants to be gangster, but they failed to mention the fact that there has never before in human history been a successful gangster story.